base or most well defended base as you can while servicing the different economical needs. Like you need
Gold, stone, wood, iron, oil.
you need workers for certain things, and everything needs a thing, and you gotta build it. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, your economy has to be strong. Your army has to be competent and strong, and you have to have enough layers or good enough defenses to ward off. Because it randomizes every map and it randomizes the AI, so they always test and probe your defenses. They send waves at certain points of the game, and you have to be ready with certain amount of troops or certain amount of resources to fend them off. And if you don't, then you either have to, start from scratch again because half your base might be destroyed, or most of your people might be dead, or you might have to totally redesign what you're doing because you realize it's not working and you're gonna be screwed.
Is there any save states in the game?
No, it automatically saves. Like if it pops up, like it automatically starts saving. You know something bad's about to happen because it makes sure you can't just go, "Oh, I fucked that up. I'll reload."
Yeah, I haven't even seen an option to like load a state other than to continue game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the only one.
No, you can save before you quit, but that's pretty much about
yeah.
it.
Yeah. So you just there's no way of like let me try this again. You just you get fucked, and you have to play the whole thing over again.
Yeah,
it's an early access right now, so it's not a complete game yet. But
Oh, okay.
it plays really well. I haven't really had any issues with it though.
Yeah,
As far as being early access.
it's pretty neat. Well, I just see like there's a lot of things that could be added to the game. I think, and like you said that they're supposed to do a campaign.
Yeah, but they're also talking about like other like boss type zombies and other units and other resources and other buildings you can put into the game. Like, I mean, as far as like other traps and stuff like that, or other like big vehicles, like how you like the Titans or Thanatos and the Lucifers and stuff like that. Like, those are nice.
Oh yeah, and the styling's vaguely steampunk.
Huh.
It's kind of like village steampunk. It's like it starts out more like villagey / medievalish, and then but then there's always the steampunk flair. Steampunk.
Yeah, because you start out with giant ballista towers, and you work your way to Gatling or Tesla towers, and then you have like spike traps and stone walls and friggin' stone houses and oil derricks and all this other stuff. Like you got a lot of different mix of technology between like, oh, I can crap in a hole in the ground, but then I could walk around in a battle neck. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but at the same time, it's a good style part of the game. It's very good. I like the art of the game. It's very well designed and good art direction.
Huh.
I had one match where I had like an abandoned city or like a dead city just like right next to mine when the match started. Like it wasn't like right there when you started, but like it moved like a couple of inches over. It's like, oh, there's a dead city. And then I built like a tower, and the tower started shooting at the city automatically. And then just a giant horde appeared out of the city and killed me like really quickly.
Yeah, because they start like from the game mechanics. Like it takes like a couple days for the zombies to actually move at your base. They have a couple days to build up, and then it seems like anytime you hit one of the dead city buildings, like shit pops out. But it's not infinite; it's finite. So as long you can like pretty much like farm that whole horde if you have troops, so you get a bunch of XP and then kill the city without destroying buildings because you milked all the zombies out of it.
Yeah.
For the XP.
But it was like the city I was shooting at had like fucking 30 buildings, so I got rushed.
You've just been playing
quick.
a really hard difficulty then. Or at least
I think I was because like it has some percentage meter where it's like you get ranked by points at the end of the match at how well you did. So I just threw everything on easy, so it gives you 3% of all the points you made for your total score. But like, it's still even on the easiest difficulties, it still took me like 3 or 4 tries, and hours of gameplay to actually to actually survive.
I'm gonna have to see. Let me know if that comes out in a format I can play it in.
I don't know if it's Matt. It's on Steam, but. Yeah, it's just your typical RTS game.
I know it's crowdfunded, so you can check their website to see what's available for Apple, but I don't know if it is or not.
Check that out.
And it's a good name. The final zombie horde that comes at you, and it comes at you from every angle on the map, because every horde usually comes from a specific part of the map, so you can kind of like prepare for it. but like at the very last one is it's from all corners,
Huh.
and like usually like when a horde comes, like the horde is coming from the west or whatever, but when it's the last one, it says they are billions, and then they just come from all over the
Huh. That sounds kind of cool.
No, it is. It'll suck up hours of your life, and it won't feel like it.
place.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the shortest game mode is, or the shortest and hardest one's like 80 days, and then it goes by like every 8 hours you collect resources or build more stuff or whatever, and
Yeah.
then things happen on set days or whatever, or at least around set days.
Yeah,
But even that one,
yeah, if you choose less days, it's harder because they send the same amount of zombies at you, but you just get more for each horde that gets sent at you for less days. But if you choose more days, then it's dispersed over the same amount of time period. So it's like easier for you to build up and prepare for them. But yeah, and the one I actually won. My base was essentially the size of the whole map. That's how big my
okay.
base was.
yeah, I found that layered defenses and carefully thought out strategies about like what choke points to try and hold and fall back to is the way to win that game, at least on
Yeah.
easy. I have no idea.
There's some weird stuff where it's like, well, I swear, like, there's some weird things where, like, sometimes there'll be like a pathway with a set of trees next to it. It's like, well, I built a wall here, I'm good, and then somehow they go like weasel their way through. It's like, well, how does that work? And like, so then you have to build like 8 layers of walls until finally like they can't fit through there.
Yeah, for some,
Huh.
I wonder if they'll fix that in the game at some point, where like forests, like don't go through forests for some reason. Like they can't. It's like basically a free wall that's indestructible, and they can't go
Yeah.
through.
Well, I like that, but sometimes when a forest is like next to like a mountain range,
Yeah,
and like you build a wall between the forest and the mountain range,
yeah.
like sometimes the wall can't be built. Like there's still like a gap there between like the
Oh.
forest and the wall, and like they can like fit through it sometimes. Not all the times, but yeah. The good thing is like the like in the Age of Empires games, if you cut down forests, the forest would disappear. But here, the forests are infinite, so
Oh.
it's a free wall for you.
I suppose at some point something will affect that, so you have to be on your toes more. Because I've always found like not the end of the game to be the most stressful, but the beginning of the game where you don't have a lot of defenses and you're constantly micromanaging your troops and trying
Yeah.
to bind all the gaps and like make sure. Because as soon as a zombie gets to a house, you're totally fucked.
Yeah.
Like you'll pretty much lose the game right from that get go. So it's like I played it 6 times where I beat it, but 4 of those times it was just like I let one zombie slip through and I totally lost the game because of it. So it's just very frustrating.
There's a cool look to it.
Yeah, it's definitely very addictive. Just even watching YouTube videos, I'm still.
That's what I'm doing right now while you guys are talking. I'm looking at the stuff.
Yeah, it kind of got me back into. Maybe I'll finally play some of those all those RTS games I bought and never played.
Well, somebody was comparing it to like StarCraft and StarCraft 2, like kind of micromanagement. Where
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. StarCraft 2 is probably a bit more balanced.
I've only played StarCraft 1, so I've never got. I don't know what StarCraft 2.
StarCraft 2 is pretty cool. The campaign's like really neat because you can upgrade units to have like different like effects to them. Where it's different in multiplayer because multiplayer is balanced, so like everything is very rigid. But in the single player game, they just like fuck around with the units. It's like fuck it, it's overpowered. Cool.
Siege tank.
Yep. Siege mode.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that'll be a thing with new units for that game if they come out with like vehicles so you can like get around the map quicker, or if they come out with just like heavy weapons teams so you have like a kind of a mobile tower you can put up anywhere type of thing.
Yeah,
which would
I
be
mean,
nice.
Titans are basically mobile towers.
Yeah, but they supposedly nerfed them compared to like the last couple patches. Like they're not
Oh.
as good as they used to be.
Uh,
It used to be you could put like a pack of 10 together, you could wipe out the whole map and go zombie hunting, but now
oh yeah, yeah.
no, you can't do that as much anymore.
Oh,
supposedly.
okay.
So I mean,
I haven't played it for like a couple weeks, so maybe there's been a couple patches since. I've been kind of waiting for a bigger update on it.
Yeah, I have no idea what their timeline is for as far as like being full release or what their past schedule's been as far as updates.
Yeah, I still need to play Grey Goo, Planetary Annihilation.
Oh, you bought Planetary Annihilation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that.
They have like an expansion pack out now called Titans, which I guess is different slightly from the regular game. What was the other one I bought? The Homeworld something of
Remastered or
well, I have that one, but it's a Homeworld RTS game.
oh, really?
Like not 4x, but like old school like Red Command and Conquer RTS game where it's like on the ground. Something of Karak, like Homo Karak or something like that.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it's like I bought Homeworld Remastered. I only played like the first campaign missions. So
I started playing the sequel to that because I never played 2. I just remember the first one being so fucking hard. Because that's one of those ones, if like you fucked up in the second mission, there's no way you can beat the game.
That's good. That's always that increases the replay value.
I mean, sometimes really hard games are challenging and rewarding, but sometimes yeah, they're just totally fucking frustrating and they'll make me quit.
Well, I mean, like I was young, so I was like willing to go through that because then I mean, like, well, this just became a 60-hour game. Well, that's when you learn the importance of like you have to salvage. It's like, well, if you take the concept of what's going on, you have no planet in which to derive materials from. Like you really have to be economical, and so you have to salvage everything you have. So it's not in your interest to just blow up everything. It's like, no, wound everything and then salvage it. So then you can create more units.
Yeah, packing a wound is always better than a corpse. Corpse has to be disposed of.
It does?
Sometimes.
Yeah, for some reason I was having these really weird dreams the other night where I was watching like this world premiere movie, like Seth Rogen and fucking James Franco were there revealing it, and it was like this fucking I think it was like Dave Franco was like the lead role. I can't remember who's the lead actor in the fake movie now. It was like this like human like luge kind of like racer that like his problem was he always fell asleep during the races. So he like fucking got like you got like fucking jettisoned from his bodyboard and like he was asleep on top of a light pole and fell off or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck? And then like I have another dream where like this other like random celebrity, I can't remember who the fuck it was now, it was like some food taste tester for this restaurant I was at or some shit, and I'm like, why the fuck do I keep having these weird dreams about shit that has nothing to do with anything else? I think you're even in a dream of mine for some reason last night, Colin. It didn't make any sense. I think we were like literally like doing some type of medieval jousting for some reason. And I was like, why am I thinking about all these random celebrities in Conlon for no reason, all these different weird scenarios?
No, I just had some weird existential crisis dream. That was fun.
What was
And it's like it was one of those weird dreams where like the like it fully forms a theory of life and everything like that. And you wake up for a second, and you forget what life is.
Wait a minute, I had the answer. Now I just have sadness.
Yeah, it was a fucking weird dream where like it was at the tail end of all of humanity is dying. And you had to transfer your conscious over to a robot or just die. So that was the entire dream and all the weird shit that goes along with that, and I forgot most of it. But yeah, it was incredibly captivating in the dream and waking up with that weird thing. It's like, oh, I have all these ideas.
Write them down quick.
Yeah, it's all weird things like, why did I think of this? How did I go think of this? And why is it in my dream?
I've had a lot of dreams where I think of really funny jokes and I wake up laughing and I can't remember what the fuck the joke was.
I remember, I still remember the joke that I've laughed myself awake on.
What was that?
There's not really a good way to set it up, but just, you remember when they had the Celebrity Jeopardy on SNL?
Oh
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I guess not. It's just like, it doesn't have to be celebrity, just be anybody. Just imagine the setup where like the camera pans to each person after they say their name.
yeah.
And so it's like Alex, and I think in the dream it was supposed to be like the Will Ferrell Alex Trebek, and he's like, so today's contestants, we have Susan from California, Jeffrey from Ohio, and a blowjob joke, and it's just a piece of paper sitting there. And I laughed myself awake. I was like, what the fuck was that?
What happened?
Why is a blowjob joke a contestant on Celebrity Jeopardy? And what is the joke?
And why is it represented by a piece of paper?
I've always just found it weird, like the amount my brain will go to make me feel every type of emotion for some reason during a dream.
Oh, yeah, why not?
Well, I know.
Go through the whole gamut.
I know, but it's like, yeah, wake up crying, wake up laughing. Like, I remember the only time I ever remembered why I woke up crying is because Popeye died in my bank parking lot. I was like, he was a good man! And I was crying so hard, I woke up crying, and I'm like, my wife's like, why are you crying so hard? I'm like, Popeye died.
In the bank parking lot.
It was raining at the time, too. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But yeah,
Then she just stares at you and goes, I understand.
No, she laughed her ass off.
I get it.
No, Popeye died.
But then other times I wake up crying because I remember somebody in my family that died or whatever. I'm like, see, that I understand, but like why Popeye died and I'm crying. I have no
Popeye
fucking...
and family. They're like this.
It's like, this is fucking stupid.
What does it mean? I've been working on a new model.
Oh, what's that?
One I got for Christmas. It's the of course it's a Machine and Krieger.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
The Hammer Knight. And it's mostly it's assembled. It's not painted yet. I got to do all that work. But I did some weird. All the Krieger kits come with options for different configurations, and I always had all these spare parts left, and I used to just like put them in the box and keep them. Well, this time around, I decided I'm going to make some stuff, and so this is the rocket launcher that came with the guy, and then I took all these leg parts and other stuff, just made him a rifle, just like random pieces that I just glued together, and I have some tube styrene that I bought, so I can add that stuff in, and then like I took a bunch of leg components and made a little generator that you can charge them with, and I'm just doing goofy. I've never done that before. I've always just like kept those parts and not done anything with them. And but this time it's like I'm gonna make shit for the because I have some figures from like if you were gonna make a diorama with like soldiers on a World War II tank or something. And so I'm going to just like set something up where these guys are doing stuff around this thing. I'm going to leave parts of it unassembled, or at least like, because Krieger's weird because they'll make these wonderfully detailed components and then they'll want you to glue a shell over it. It's like, why are we hiding all that? It's like this beautifully detailed engine and we're going to like glue something over. It's like, no, we're not doing that here. So I'm going to leave that unassembled so they can like service it or something. But I found a new kind of paint. This is really cool. It's the I don't know if you've ever seen this, the AK line. It's called True Metal, and this is like a wax paint. So what you do is you put it on, and it's supposed to look like metal, and then you let it dry because you put it on with like a little bit of mineral spirits and the paint, and then you put it on the piece of plastic, and it makes it look like a piece of metal. Like you see, that's supposed to be like copper.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty cool. It works pretty well.
Does it give it a nice shine to it with the wax and stuff, or is it?
Hold on one second, guys.
Dun, 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 dun. Elevator music.
This portion of the podcast will not be broadcasted.
This portion of the podcast brought to you by AK True Metal.
Yeah.
Unofficial sponsor. Yeah,
So how many people short are you tonight?
there's a post on Reddit I found the other day from this weatherman that got taken down right away, where it was like, it's like, yeah, we're gonna get pounded tonight. We're gonna get a full 8 inches, and I'm not ready for it. Whatever. It was like immediately taken down off Twitter. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
I can't take all 8 inches.
It's like,
Oh yeah. Do they know you're going in? Fuck these people. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, Stacy's going to work again.
All right.
Nothing like being awake 28 hours. Then let's go back to work.
Nothing like healthcare providers being on the edge.
Yeah, just on edge and angry, and yeah, just I guess no one thinks they have to come to work. But we've already had that discussion. So anyway, yeah, this is that wax paint that actually makes plastic look a lot like metal.
well, does it give it a nice shine to it afterwards with the wax in it, or is it just the...
Yeah, that's because you let it set up and dry for like 30 minutes, and if you rub it with your fingers, that'll give it a more burnished, like aged look. But if you rub it with like a cloth or something, like a real fine cloth, it'll just get really bright. I mean, you don't want to go too fast or too far because then you just strip it down to the plastic. So you gotta kind of balance it. But yeah, so that's yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. It's $12 a tube, so I'm not going to be getting like the whole collection, but I'll definitely get a few tubes for different effects, and we'll see where this goes. So I'm still not done with my Nutcracker. There's a lot of things I want to do to the tank.
Oh, when he said Nutcracker, I thought literally of a Nutcracker. 'Cause
No, it's
like
the Machine and Krieger tank. I love that series, but I can only go so far monetarily
yeah.
because they're so expensive to buy, and I don't know how good of a modeler I am, but they're well made. I like working with them, and because I'd love to make like their big walkers and stuff, like the Croat and the Super Jerry, but those are like $195 for a model. It's like I just can't spend that kind of money.
Because there's no game system or anything behind what you do, right? It's just the pure modeling aspect of
Yeah,
it.
it's just kind of a, I don't know what you'd call it. Well, it's what did I call it once? That Japanese Germanism. It's because these are like everything's very Germanic, but it's actually from Japan, and it's been around since the 80s. But yeah, these are just really cool. Like this is what the model looks like done, and these are the different paint schemes they have, and
Oh, that's cool that they go through all that.
they're just really well made, and they're fun to build, and they kind of have that rough aspect to them. You can make them look rusty and damaged and old, and which is fun to do. So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, usually it adds a lot more character to add weathering and make something look more battle and hardened and just like, oh, it's new off the assembly line. Like, it
Yeah.
looks all pretty and shiny and not damaged or used at all.
Well, the weathering's the scariest part because everything looks new and shiny. It's like, what are we gonna do? And you can do a little silver chipping and some washes, but then you're like, how much is too much? And because like this one's it's gonna be painted rust colored, and then I'm gonna paint it black, but I'm gonna put salt all over it and let it dry. So then when the paint dries, I just chip or wash the salt away. And it's gonna look like rust coming through metal, and it's like I've never done that. I fucked this up completely. I mean, I could always strip the paint off and start over, but
Well, a lot of people use hairspray and stuff too. They coat it with hairspray first, and then they kind of just kind of like wipe it away or stipple it away too. So I mean, I've heard of the salt one too. I've never tried either because I usually just dry brush some corrosion stuff and washes. I haven't tried your method yet. I don't really.
Well, I haven't tried it either. So so we'll see what happens. We'll see where this goes. But yeah, that's
You can practice with some of those pieces you made.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point because a lot of people do buy practice models even for my thing when they don't necessarily need to have the model or want it. They just kind of want something to practice on. So
Go
Now,
get yourself a 1967 Chevy Nova to practice on.
Well, Citadel does a they have a cool they have a combination of purple and like a steel blue, and you can make a gun look like it's hot.
Oh yeah.
And only Citadel has those colorations of paint. Like, because I've looked at, there's 10 different ways to do it, but everyone's using the Citadel paint. It's like when it's done, it's like, holy shit, that looks like blued metal. That's really cool.
No, yeah, I've seen some of the same videos. I know a lot of it is wet blending as well. So I mean, it's if you can kind of find the same hues, because yeah, it's a purple, but also yeah, it's kind of more of a steely blue, and then there's some like orange and yellows and reds in there as well. But I mean, it's more of a layered effect. So I mean, Army Painter kind of has a lot of colors. I mean, other than that, I don't know how much Vallejo offers for color ranges. Or
Oh,
different
it's
shades.
massive.
I mean, you could probably find something similar with what Vallejo does. Because I mean, I've never really gone outside Citadel for the most part, so I would tend not to recommend it just because it just doesn't seem to. I mean, it's not a bad paint necessarily; it just doesn't hold up well over time for as far as using it over and over again. And it kind of clogs up the brush. It's not very smooth flowing. It kind of just, if you don't do it right, it makes it look like kind of you can see all the brush strokes and it looks like shit. So.
Wow.
I mean, that's, I guess, depending on what primer you're using too, and you know what you're doing. I mean, I don't use a palette. I just kind of dip my brush in a little bit of water from a solo cup, and then go into the paint pot and grab a little bit, and then go to a paper towel, and then go to the model. So I kind of have like a way to get excess stuff off my brush and kind of just have the right consistency. But it's taken a lot of practice to get there. So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I know you don't use a brush probably often, but at the same time, I know you have to use like fine detail stuff.
I do for detail and weather. Yeah, I'm mainly an airbrush guy, but the little details are all. I have probably 50 different kinds of brushes, thick ones, thin ones, chisel ones, those microscopic Japanese ones, which I do not have hands steady enough to use. Even I could imagine their use.
So you steady your one hand with the other hand?
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of stuff like that. I have a big magnifying hood that comes over, and I can close one eye and it's super magnified, or I close the other and it's kind of magnified, and which I actually heard is not a good thing to do, and I quit doing it. It's like, screw your eyes up. But yeah, I use all that crap. I have all these little stands and.
Wow, you're so much more advanced than me. I just have a cutting mat, a paper towel, a solo cup, and a lamp.
Yeah, but I'm an empty person. I'm dead inside. It's pretty much all I do.
Well, Nathan was describing the different countries' like methods and like,
yeah,
you're like in the Russian method, or like the Japanese that have all these Japanese and the Germans that have all these like contraptions to do like very specific things, and like there's just some Russian dude with like some sandpaper and hairspray. It's like, you don't need all that shit.
yeah.
No, I mean, there's a lot of good YouTube channels. There's Dr. Foss's painting clinic. I don't know if he's still up. He was having a lot of like money issues, but he was usually good to watch. Even Warhammer's channel, like, I mean, they're more focused on their models, obviously, and their paint ranges, but they have some good tips as far as like, you know, shadowing and doing highlighting lines and stuff like that, and wet blending. And there's also God damn it, what's his name? This more independent guy. He's in Minnesota, and he's fun to watch because he has his buddy that's won a couple of Golden Demon Awards on occasionally to teach painting. But he also has a lot of good tips about hobbying and not getting discouraged and keeping up with it and stuff like that. So he's fun to watch. I'll have to get you his name at some point because he has a Sunday live blog he does and live vlog sometimes where he just has a couple hours of either painting or talking about like different conventions and stuff like that he's been to. So it's fun to usually watch him on Sunday morning for no reason. So.
Oh, shoot his name over. I have most of my YouTube subscriptions are about building models, and a lot of my Facebook is too. And it's weird how I run into the people I know on those. Oh, hi. I know you. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't know you were on this one.
This is my secret shame and love.
Yeah, well, I mean, modeling's a really great hobby. It endorses ingenuity and creativity, and just, you know, not getting frustrated because some of the ways you put models together, how finicky and little the parts are, and how easy it is to fail in that regard. But also what you just did and showed off today, where it's like you just create something basically out of, you know, set things you're not really meant to use for, or pretty much something out of nothing, shows, you know, a good thing to do. It's not just playing. I mean, not to put down playing video games, but it doesn't really lead to a lot of like positive outcomes of creating something out of nothing or doing something technically creative in life. I
Well,
mean,
there was a time in my life where I enjoyed video games,
yeah,
and now I'm kind of, and I've been in this mode for like 3 or 4 years where I'm into tactile things. Like I want to do, I don't want to watch something. Like I'll listen to audiobooks or podcasts when I do models, but I like to like, okay, today we're setting out parts and we're going to do A, B, and C. And, you know, it's, if I'm trying something new, it's like, oh, this is a big pain in the ass, or it's, but I've rarely been discouraged doing it. There's always, you know, there's always a way out. And usually I think about it a lot before I do anything. And then I'll watch people on YouTube that are just doing like fantastic things. It's like, oh, I'm not there yet, but wow, that's really cool. And it's like my greatest struggle right now is painting faces. I still have the problem with, it's like, oh, I hope this guy has a helmet. Yep, okay, we're good. Because if I have to paint eyes on this and shade the face, he's gonna look like the guy from Goonies. One eye's really big and one eye's too small, and so. But even when I do that, when I try to do that, I don't get mad, because I save my rage for like work and the outside world. I don't bring any rage into my model world, because there's no point. It's like, this is supposed to be fun. That's why I got rid of guns and got out. I didn't get rid of them, but I'm not in that like hobby. It's like, oh, we got to hit the target, and then because it brings because it's something you have to do with other people kind of by its nature. And you know, I'm never going to be into like, let's go out and golf and stuff like that. So this is like that solo activity that I enjoy a lot.
no, I mean,
Learn a lot too.
I mean, it's something similar for me. Like, I still enjoy playing video games enough, but at the same time, like, I really do want to do something and want to, you know, have something more positive in my life, because I don't find myself ever getting mad or frustrated at doing modeling or painting. It's really just more like, I can find myself getting pissed off at a video game all the time.
Yeah, that's not hard to do.
But at the same time, I've never like rage quit or like threw my model across the room because something didn't turn out the way I wanted to. So I mean, I might like step away for a minute to give my eyes a rest, or, you know, take a break from something, but I'm not gonna like just like, fuck this, I'm not picking this up again. So I mean, it's
Yeah, I've actually become like a connoisseur of like, what am I buying? It's because like the Hasegawa stuff, which is most of the Machine and Krieger stuff, I can buy. Like, that's going to go together well. That's well thought out. The Bandai stuff's going to be amazing. It's like, oh, this is going to be just like a ice cream and blowjobs putting this. And then I'll get like the Russian thing, the Zvezda. It's like, well, this is going to be a lot of like expected repetition and building up like the components for this, but it's not going to really say like do this 20 times. It's just going to have one picture, and then it's going to jump to the next screen. And it's like, well, the axles are all on. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to build 20 of those. Okay. But but then it'll have something like a little arrow going in a circle, which means, well, build them this way for the right side and that way for the left side, dumbass. And it's like, oh, shit, I built them all for the right side. Why did I do that? So, yeah, there's like different models where it's like, oh, I'm going to face different challenges with each one. Or I'm going to have like... you know, I'm going to have a lot of fit problems with this one kit, or none at all with this other one. Or, so yeah, it's like I've almost come to expect this. Like, what am I building? And the Bandai kits, like the Star Wars kits, just beg for weathering and details, and you kind of feel free to do your own thing. But if you're building like a model of an F-16 or something, it's like, well, we better like we're gonna make a steampunk F-16 and. I don't do a lot of military models, like, because it's like, well, yeah, this is supposed to look a certain way. But then I've seen people do stuff with F4 Phantom models where it looks like it came out of a movie. Like, because those shot a lot of black out of them for some reason. They'll black up the exhaust ports in just a certain way where it's like, oh, it looks exactly like it did in a picture. Wow, that's amazing. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff.
Well, speaking of Star Wars models, there's going to be a tabletop war game for Star Wars from Fantasy Flight. So now there's going to be a lot of build your own and paint your own Star Wars armies between rebels and stormtroopers on the ground. So you'll have your ATST and speeders and stormtroopers and rebel fighters and all this other stuff that you can build and paint if your heart desires. And usually Fantasy Flight's actually not too bad. Usually most of their stuff is anywhere in the $20 to $50 range for their biggest stuff.
Oh, okay.
So they're a little bit better about. Sorry. A little bit better about, you know.
Oh, don't be bad. I had a 15-minute conversation in the middle of the show. There's nothing anyone could do now except light a fart that might be more distracting.
Oh, sorry for having my cell phone on silent because I figured my wife would still be asleep. I was wrong. But no, there's more economical options sometimes with modeling. I mean, there's what I do, which is the cheapest kit's maybe $20, and that could be anywhere between a full infantry squad or one guy, or it could be $80 or $100 for a huge ass vehicle or one really kitted out squad. And then there's stuff like Hordes of War Machine, where like one guy, since that's a much smaller game, is like $80, $150 for one guy, and it's all metal or some shit nobody wants to work with. And it's I don't know. There's a bunch of really expensive fucking shit, and I own a lot. But at the same time, I try. There's tanks, which is kind of a Flames of War thing, which is a World War II tabletop game. But this is tanks, so it's like X-wing, so it's basically just tank battles. And each tank is only $10, so you can basically put an army together for $30, and then have a tank battle with somebody else. And it just involves having. You buy the Get Started kit, and it comes with 2 Shermans and a Panther, and it's $25, and it comes with all the rules and templates and dice and everything else. So it's a cool game. All the terrain just on a flat mat and cardboard tiles and stuff, but it just plays, I think, on like a 3-foot by 3-foot mat, and just play until you either destroy all the tanks or you get to the end of the turns. So.
Well, that sounds cool. Yeah, some of the stuff, like I said, most of my models are in the $50 to $100 range. But the more up range I go, the longer it's, because I can tie 3 or 4 months up into just one thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm not working on it constantly.
Yeah.
But sometimes the guys will kill me, like on YouTube. Guys like one of the videos I watched about kit bashing and stuff was he bought 2 of these Krieger. I don't know if it was the Hammer Knight or the Ammo Knight, but basically the big walking robots. And he's like, okay, I'm going to get 2 of these. It's like, oh, that's $120. And then he's going to buy a bunch of 20 scale Russian tanks from World War II, and we're going to bash these up and make them into mechs, and then we're going to build a diorama, and I'm going to get Russian soldiers from that era, but they're going to have futuristic guns that I make myself. It's like, oh, this guy he's like $2,000-$3,000 in this, not including painting. Like, that's really cool, but that's a level of commitment that's astounding to me.
Yeah, and Games Workshop, they put out codexes for each army, which is basically a rule book. The Imperial Guard, which is basically like the human, just army, just tanks, guys with guns. Stuff like that type of flavor instead of all aliens and all this weird flying ship stuff everybody else has. But like they have a part of their codex where they have like unique factions that we made up for this game or whatever that you can kit bash if you want. And I was like, oh, the orc hunters of whatever planet, and they're carrying like severed orc heads and have war paint over their faces and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I want to make that. And it was like, okay, that's only this $30 kit, that $40 kit, that $50 kit for the heads, and that $30 kit for just the arms or whatever. So that's like $160 for a regular $20 infantry box. Like that makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, it's like, take my money.
That's like when I built Grayson that tank. I built him that Sherman tank from. It wasn't the model from. I guess they had a model kit from the movie Fury, but I just built him a Sherman tank, and got as many of the details from pictures of the movie as I could. But then it was like, oh, we have the accessory kit and the logs. It's like, well, the model was $45. It was a nice Tamiya you know, it was the Easy 8 Sherman tank.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I built it and painted it, and we did all the work on it. I hand lettered everything, and I actually hand painted the stars on it because it's easier to make those look worn than it is the stickers. And then it's like, oh, they had all the Fury like mod kit, so you can make it look like the one in the movie because it had the logs and all the accessories. It was $100 for like a little bag of resin parts. It's like, are you people insane? Who's doing this?
Oh yeah, there's something called a Manta for one of the factions, because there's two different model offshoots for Citadel or for Warhammer. There's Warhammer, and then there's Forge World. Forge World's all resin. It's all like, it might come really warped, it might come kind of cracked or whatever, and you have to bend it or melt it back together with a hairdryer. But there is a $2,000, oh no, I'm sorry, not $2,000, $3,000 model. It weighs 25 pounds. It's called the Manta. Like, it's a huge ass drop ship that's like the size of a dining room table that opens up for like a mech bay and a transport room, and ramps go up and down, and you can. There's people that have like set it off to be converted to have lights in it, so you can turn the lights on. It looks like it's landing, or the cockpit's on, and all this other shit.
Yeah, I like the guys who just like one step beyond. It's like, I put LED lighting in this. It's like, oh, you're a lunatic.
Yeah, and you get a lot of people that are really fanatic about a lot of shit between mold lines, which is fine. I don't like having a bunch of flash and shit all over anyway. Or people that are like, you must draw out all your gun barrels, otherwise they don't look realistic. Or you must do this and that to that person's armor. And like, oh, if you add this here, then it looks, you know, better than if you just left it that way. It's like, well, how about I build the model the way I want to build it, because I paid the $60 for it. So
yeah, some people are what do they call those guys in trains? They call them rivet counters.
Oh.
It's the people that will like in model train world. It's like, oh, that's not, you know, like a Baldwin 1812. The rivets were much smaller, and you know they wouldn't be that widely spaced. And so, yeah, there are people like that, but everyone hates those people too. So nobody appreciates that.
No, I know. It's surprising though how many people are out there like that put down, you know, how you painted something or how you built your, you know, model or army or whatever, just because they don't like it. And it's like, I don't think you get the point. I spent my money on this, so I have to like it. It's not your job to like it.
Yeah, I was waiting
I thought
for your
art.
opinion.
I thought art was interpretive. No, I am the form. I know all.
I'm the guy. All right, so we watched a movie.
Yeah.
We're gonna cover this movie now.
Yeah.
I know everyone's been holding their breath. Oh, by the way, real quick, side note here: the Chinese space station is going. The 10-ton Chinese space station, the Tiangong-1, is going to fall out of orbit.
Around March.
So much like the Skylab.
Accidental or intentional?
Oh, accidental.
Oh,
well, I mean,
okay.
they put it up there, and then it's been no one's been there for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So it just slowly degraded into orbit. But anyway, so look out. Chinese space station parts coming at you.
So pretty soon Taco Bell will give out a free taco if it lands on
Yeah.
it lands on a target in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, it's supposed to come down somewhere. I mean, they did this with Mir. We did it with Skylab. I don't know what kind of power systems they have on it, but I'm sure it's all well made. So anyway,
Chinese quality.
Yep, Chinese and quality, 2 words that go together. Actually, their food is very good. They have clever hands. Clever hands.
I don't know if that has anything to do with space stations, but
Sounds like Jurassic Park to me.
Yeah. Very medieval. But anyway, in 1989, Joe Dante made a film with Tom Hanks called The Burbs, which starred Bruce Dern and Carrie Fisher and Corey Feldman.
I forgot Carrie Fisher was in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of weird when I watched it.
I
Yeah,
was sitting there wondering, like, how like Tom Hanks looked now and how Carrie Fisher looked like a year ago. It's like, how old? What was their age difference?
I don't think it was much.
Yeah, I like how the right wing guy was named Rumsfeld. That was funny. Way before that was a thing. Bruce Dern played the right wing guy. But yeah, this is just like kind of weird people that live. What city was this in?
I don't know. It kind of seemed like a California thing. That's usually where
Yeah, watch where it's.
suburbs
Yeah.
are like a big thing.
I don't know if they even mentioned it because it's supposed to be like just suburbia somewhere, and it's either in the Midwest or it was on the West Coast. It definitely was on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So yeah, it had all the class. I mean, there's so many things in this movie that are just like, oh yeah, we've seen this before. Um, they're kind of a bunch of weird neighbors living together. Because the one guy's a real prick about his lawn and has the wife that's a little too young. And then Tom Hanks is just kind of this unsatisfied guy, I guess, bored guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we yeah. Sometime when we get out of the '80s, we need to watch Joe versus the Volcano.
Yeah, I'd like to see that again. I haven't seen that in a long time.
It probably has more meaning now than it did then. When I was a kid, I just remember being like, "This is a weird movie. I like it," but everyone seems to think this is a really stupid movie. Anyways.
But yeah, this movie is I don't know, like spoiler alert, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it yet, this was something I remember watching a lot too. It seemed to be
Yeah.
on constant
Yeah, it was on cable a lot. I think I always just saw it in bits and pieces. I never really sat down and watched it. Did you just see it on cable too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had to really watch it to remember everything that happened. But I knew that like these guys all teamed up because they had creepy neighbors. And you think it's going to be the story where it's like, oh, they're different, but they're just like us. It's like, oh no, they're actually killers and maniacs. And
They're just the Addams family, but then the cops actually, go after
the rest of them. Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of a quirky movie.
Almost a great movie.
Almost.
Like he should have went to jail at the end. Like it should have been like the neighbors were actually creepy, and it was just all in their mind, and that would have made it a great movie.
Yeah.
And they have to actually deal with circumstances. He just goes. I like that part where Tom Hanks is like, "Yeah, I this probably won't make sense, Tom, in jail, but I really apologize for everything I've done to your house."
well, that's the thing. Like the movie almost gets there because it gets to the point, before they actually uncover something where it's like, oh yeah, we fucked up. They actually didn't do anything, and then at the last minute, it's like, oh yeah, they did. Oh, look at that. Just to redeem the horrible people that broke into a stranger's house.
It's like, no, Tom Hanks is our hero. We can't get to the end of the movie and find out, oh, really, he's the bad guy.
You're just being racists.
Weird people are an allegory for black people.
Weird European people.
Well, because weren't they from like Albania or something like that, or some of one of the
Oh,
Slavic regions?
They were called the Klopeks, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say is if it wouldn't be for that one redheaded weird guy, I wouldn't have thought they were evil. But like as soon as he showed up in the movie, I'm like, yeah, he's not really a good character.
The doctor guy, he always plays a bunch of like weird people. I don't even know what the actor's name was. But
He was one of the Illinois Nazis from the Blues Brothers,
ah,
wasn't
that's right, yeah.
he? I hate Illinois Nazis.
Arkansas Nazis are just fine. Illinois Nazis is like
But yeah, this is one of those movies where it was kind of a middle of the pack movie.
Yeah, well, we really just saw this because we saw Gremlins, and I remember like there's a love affair for Joe Dante, and we kind of looked up his filmography, and it was like, oh yeah, The Burbs, we should watch that because I remember that was a movie that was on cable a bunch, but I don't really remember seeing it, so I was like, oh, let's watch it.
Yeah, it was fun.
I mean, it's basically like The Burbs is basically what Facebook is now.
Yeah, essentially. Bunch of lies and half truths, and then it's like, oh, they really are creeps. Yes, they are. And they've shown themselves to be that way. But yeah, that was.
But there's also just, well, I think does this just take place over one day? Because like everybody's like on vacation from work, because it's like nobody has a job.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed about this movie. It's like the one ex-army or ex-military guy, like he seemed to be retired, but everyone else just seemed to be on like, because Tom Hanks was like, "Are we gonna go to the cabin again? I hate the cabin." You know, they were kind of debating what their vacation was going to be, and it turned into this week-long sojourn of, you know, naming and claiming the murderers next door. And then the Corey Feldman kid, I totally forgot. It's like the hoodie neighbor kid.
Yeah, he's just doing like odd jobs here and there.
Yeah, and just kind of shows up with no family.
Inviting
Drinking.
friends over, like,
Is he
hey, check
drinking?
out, everything's gonna get fucked up. Let's watch.
Yeah, I forgot. I totally forgot he was in this until I saw. I was like, oh yeah, he's the kid. The
What
kind
movie
of
in the '80s was Corey Feldman not in?
a lot of them.
I know. Like, he seemed like he was in about every damn movie. It's,
Well, yeah, if you got a kid in the '80s, it was gonna be Corey Feldman,
Yeah.
and then you'll throw Corey Haim there every once in a while too.
And then they'll live together, and one will overdose on drugs much later in life. And they'll have a reality TV show based on
and then we'll realize we killed the wrong one. No.
And then the other one will accuse people of molesting him later on in life, and that'll turn out to be probably true.
it. Not Michael Jackson, weirdly enough.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
that
saw that interview.
Just proof enough that enough roller coaster rides makes molestation go away.
drugs makes a lot of drugs make that go away too.
Drugs makes the ass grow fonder.
But yeah, this is what I call like the early end of Tom Hanks' comedy career.
Yeah, because
Wasn't he still pretty much a comedy actor at this time?
yeah, because this is around the time of Dragnet and what else was he
Big.
doing? What's the one with the house?
Oh, the money pit.
Money Pit, yeah.
The Money Pit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bad funny movie.
and yeah, and then Philadelphia was his first big thing, and then after that was Forrest Gump. I think Philadelphia is like '92 or something.
Well, he also
Oh
have,
yeah.
you also have Turner and Hooch before that too.
Oh yeah.
He had quite a few comedy movies before he.
There was a lot of like dog cop movies around that time. Turner Hooch is probably the best one. It's
K-9's
that
good,
K9.
too. Yeah, I was gonna say K9's good too, but I don't see K9 a lot anymore. Like you still see Turner and Hooch on TV and like streaming services all the time. You don't see K9 very.
Well, yeah, because K9's probably the poorer movie, and I don't even remember the actor in K9.
Belushi.
Oh, is it Jim Belushi? Okay.
Punchline was the movie he did before this. I know he did a movie about being a comedian. So, yeah, and then Turner and Hooch right after that, and then Joe versus the Volcano.
But to be fair, he did have one dramatic turn in the beginning of his career, the Dungeons.
Oh, yeah.
And Demons or whatever the fuck
Yeah.
that was.
Oh, is that the one that the religious people
Yeah,
D&D
about,
was
yeah,
a
about
Satanist?
D&D. Yeah, I literally like tried watching most of that, and it was like, I was like, I wish there was a riff tracks for it because I could have got through the whole thing. Like I kind of made up my own, because literally like in the first 30 minutes of the movie, every time Tom Hanks comes on screen, he's wearing a different hat. Everything from like a fucking astronaut's helmet to a cowboy hat and a fedora and a smoking like fucking hat and shit like that, or a German mountain climbing hat. Every time he comes into a scene, he's wearing another odd hat until about the 30-minute mark. Then he starts recycling them, and I'm like, damn it, he ran out of hats. It's like the prop department ran out of money for hats.
The hat store closed.
Like, but then yeah, it just gets to like they're exploring this fucking cave out in the middle of nowhere, and it's like kind of like a example of like how delving deeper into that gaming system will get you farther down a labyrinth. You can't find your way out until you lose your soul, because it's like literally the cave is like a pit to hell, and they keep getting like they almost get lost in it time and time again, but they keep going back because they're drawn to it. It's addiction they can't stop. They skip school for it. They ruin their lives for it. Like it's
Mazes and Monsters
yeah,
is
Mazes
what
and
that's
Monsters,
called.
Yeah, I'd recommend giving the first 30 minutes a good watch. If you really like the backstory of Tom Hanks being a well-to-do rich kid with a million bird cages in his house in New York City that loves hats, and really likes mazes and monsters,
This hat-loving fuckbag is really gonna light the way.
Hat-loving fuckbag. That's perfect. Yeah, this was kind of the end of Tom Hanks's comedy roles. Of course, he did a weirdly serious movie in the mid '80s about a guy, a World War II RAF pilot.
What's that
Some
one
kind of
called?
love story. Yeah, it's called Every Time We Say Goodbye.
No?
I don't know how good it is, but
Apparently not very good because nobody remembers it.
well, you can't find it anywhere.
Oh.
So for curiosity's sake, I was like, where was what was his first dramatic thing? It's like, oh, it was this.
And now
Before he became like the king of well, I guess not really king of drama. Sure, king of dramas and also romantic comedies.
Yeah.
Sleepless in Seattle and She Got Mail, or yeah, not She Got Mail. She got mail.
Went right through the mail slot.
Spike Lee's gonna have a field day with this.
I mean, he was, yeah,
You've
he
got mail.
was predominantly like the leading man in American movies for like the 90s, early 2000s. I mean, it's then what, Tom Cruise and friggin'
Well, Tom Hanks wasn't really an actioner.
No,
Well,
I mean,
just
like, as far as
Forrest Gump was a huge
like,
movie.
yeah, Forrest Gump was. Castaway was a pretty big movie at the time, and so was Da Vinci Code at the time as well.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean like action. I just meant like as far as like if you're looking for an all-American movie, as far as like wholesome or like American values, that's you would see him in it. Not like American movie as in like Mission Impossible 2 with Tom Hanks is Ethan Hunt, and like or Die Hard 3 with Tom Hanks and Bruce Willis. Like that would be a weird combo. I don't know if that would play off each other very well. Because he'd probably be like the wacky sidekick that like almost gets Bruce Willis killed all the time.
Yeah, it'll be Dragnet all over again.
Except better. Like I was really disappointed how much I didn't like that movie after the halfway point. Because I was like, I love Dan Aykroyd, I love Tom Hanks. Like this should be a good movie. Like, oh yeah, it's.
I still like. I thought it was a weird movie when I was a kid. I liked it probably more now because it's like this movie should have never been made.
Yeah.
But also it had a weird thing where it's like, oh, like every movie, every remake is, if you look at Dragnet, like every one is kind of like, that's the template for every movie remake is Dragnet. It's like we're gonna take it, we're gonna take this movie, or no, we're gonna take this TV series, we're gonna get some bankable comedy actors, and we're gonna make it a weird comedy, even though the original source material was a drama.
Yeah, but I mean, Dan Aykroyd was good as Joe Friday. I like Tom Hanks. I mean, I've seen the original TV show Dragnet, and neither one of those characters is like happy-go-lucky in any way. They play it very serious, deadpan. Nobody ever has a sense of humor.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, you look at the Dragnet movie and how everyone hated it, and you look at the 21 Jump Street movie and how everyone loves it.
True, but I never saw 21 Jump Street, so I had nothing to gauge the remake
Yeah, me
off of.
neither.
So, I
I
mean,
bet you remember it as something on TV.
yeah. Whereas, like, the only... I think,
That thing Johnny Depp did before he did Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
or, yeah. No, because otherwise, like, what other reboots are there that I'm trying to think of? Because, like, there's still, like, there's been the stupid Beverly Hillbillies one with Ernest, and there's been
I mean, there's been tons of terrible
Bewitched
ones.
and a bunch of other shit.
Oh, yeah, Jesus. I need to see that.
I need to see it too because I've heard it's terrible. But I've
Yeah, I
never
hear
seen
it's
it.
terrible, but, like, you figure, like, oh, that'll be on cable, but I've never fucking seen that shit anywhere.
Which one's this?
Bewitched with
The Will Ferrell
and-
Bewitched movie.
Oh.
I think it's Nicole
Yeah,
Kidman.
I remember
Nicole.
hearing about that, but I've never seen it.
That's what that. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that. Yeah, Will Ferrell's career has been kind of in the shitter for a while, except for like the Good Guys. Is it the Good Guys or the other guys?
Yeah, it's good guys. Or no, it was
The other guys.
Yeah.
Like, cause he did like that Land of the Lost one that was terrible. He's done like a lot of terrible movies.
Well, Stranger Than Fiction was good.
Oh, I don't think I saw it.
And then
There's
I
that
mean,
one where he's selling all the shit on the lawn. I hear it was pretty good.
Everything Must Go. Yeah, that was a good movie. It was that. It's not a very. I mean, it's not a happy movie, but it's a good movie. And I mean, I've liked him in Talladega Nights. I thought that was a good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had good
But,
movies.
like,
But he's had a lot of fucking shit.
I think the Bewitched, there's a lot of remakes they threw him in that were like that.
Yeah, Daddy's Home was a complete fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, they made a sequel.
It's
to
a
that one.
watchable piece of shit somehow, but it's a piece of shit. I don't even know what the
It's a
second one's
money-making
supposed to be.
piece of shit. So.
But then, yeah, I mean, Elf was actually a good movie. I'm thankful
Yeah.
he turned down Elf 2 because that probably would have been a piece of shit. And then friggin', oh god, what else has he been in that's actually been good? He was actually kind of good as the villain in Zoolander.
Yeah.
Like, the second one was complete garbage, but that was kind of expected since it was, like, how many years since the original? And like, nobody probably came back to write it out of the original movie. So, I mean, he's been in good movies, but yeah, he, like, takes everything. Like, The House is a really, really bad movie.
Yeah, yeah. He's just done a lot of terrible shit ever since Talladega Nights.
I think he's got a lot of things to pay for, or something. Like, I know he has a few kids. 'Cause, like,
When they did that one where they spoke weird Spanish.
oh yeah, that fucking piece of shit. The
Casa
days,
de
yeah.
my dad or
Yeah,
something.
I mean, for a while I thought it was Jack Black who was like America's like funny guy. That takes
Shithole. America's shithole, Jack Black.
American shithole.
But he's actually been in good movies recently, somewhat, where he's actually taken good roles. So I mean, it's like he's even has decent times. But I thought he was like America's shithole.
Well, he had that. He even had that Gulliver's Travel movie. It's just like,
Yeah, I
Jesus Christ, is everything he in terrible? It's like, yes. I
It's
still,
like, how
haven't,
can you go wrong with that formula? Well, we'll show you.
I still haven't seen School of Rock though. I still hear that's like, there's like people that are like, like 24 now. It's like, oh, when I was a kid, that movie was my life. I guess that makes me feel old, but also I don't care
I think
because
it
I don't
plays
see
to
it.
his strength of like also really being into music because
Yeah.
he actually gets to do that. So I mean that's a good part. But yeah, now if I watch that, it'd probably be incredibly dated because the song they write or whatever probably doesn't hold up very well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like that movie stands out, but also Shallow Hal is actually still a pretty good movie. And then he did actually an okay job in the Goosebumps movie. I don't know if that movie itself was any good.
Well, he's in that Jumanji movie.
Yeah,
That's
and
his
I
most recent.
really
thing.
don't want to see that until it comes
No.
out on video.
I really liked him when he was in Brutal Legend. I thought that one really fit to his tastes and everything like that. And he was good in that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of weird how he doesn't. I mean, he seems to take about anything past his way, but he only gets crap written for him where he's the funny fat guy. It's never anything serious or anything to play off against another archetype.
There was that weird. I haven't finished watching it, but there's a really weird TV show that HBO came out with that they send it out to die basically. I need to go back and watch it. It's called The Brink, and he's like, he's not. It's basically like, huh?
Yeah, I remember that now.
Because it's all about politicians and like some goofy shit happens and basically they're on the brink of nuclear war. And it's like very political, but it's also like weirdly funny and things too, and just dark.
Yeah, because he's like working with the ambassador in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Because the guy, what's the guy's name? I always think of him as the guy from the Daily Show.
Yeah, like he's the cab driver.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen.
Asif Mandi, or is that?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. 'Cause that guy's funny. He's one of the few guys like that I think's funny. And the guy who did the Big Stick and who's in Silicon Valley, that guy's funny too.
Yeah.
But kind of like in a almost innocent, like a victim way. I can't think of his name. Yeah, those guys are almost interchangeable to me. It's like, oh, there's your static Indian / Pakistani type character that can work in American movies.
Yeah, because there's only like really 2 or 3 standout people that fill that role. One has a show, Master of None. The other one's been in Big Sick and a couple other movies recently. And then there's like the 1 or 2 like floating extras that never really have anything besides like a supporting actor part.
Was Mindy Kaling?
Yeah.
She was on The Office. And
Yeah,
she has
she's
her own
also, like,
show.
like,
And she's in that new Wrinkle of Time movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think she's very funny, but I don't know if I've seen her in most of the things she's in. So I know she's in that like one with Seth Rogen and the guy who plays Falcon, where it's like their Christmas like party thing.
Oh, okay.
With,
Yeah. Office party,
yeah.
Christmas office party.
No,
or
not
something?
Christmas office party.
Oh.
It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it's like a tradition thing. They always like do this Christmas thing with him.
Yeah.
And
Is that where it's like Joseph Gordon-Levitt celebrating Christmas, but then also Seth Rogen celebrating Hanukkah, and they all have a big celebration? or
Yeah,
something like that?
basically. I mean, the only funny part of that movie is when like Seth Rogen's like really high, and he's like trying to figure out whether to answer this guy's dick pic like enthusiastically or not. And he's like, "Man, I mean, his dick does look good," or whatever. it's like that was like the only funny part in the movie. I found the rest of it very tedious and stupid. And it was just like, oh, okay. And then, but every time like she used to have her own show on Fox. I think it's on Hulu now.
Yeah.
It's like I've never found her funny. I find her very
something
annoying.
experience. This is like the Mindy experience.
Yeah, the mini.
I thought it was alright. I didn't keep watching it, so obviously that speaks to some of it. But I thought it was. Yeah, I didn't know she was like a doctor. So.
Oh, real life?
No, not real life, just in the show.
I was gonna say is like there's been people like that have entered acting.
Yeah,
like,
Kim Jong.
Like the guy who was in Hangover and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I didn't know that about her. It makes me respect her a lot more as somebody that's an actor. But
Well, I thought it was interesting in the Uncharted Lost Legacy game,
yeah,
because that follows Nadine from number 4, and then also Chloe, who's been in the series, which is voiced by Claudia Black.
yeah.
I didn't know her character was Indian, right? It's-
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like that whole thing's about like about her childhood and stuff like that, and it takes place in India, so it's a really cool game.
And speaking of Claudia Black, I like how she's kept working by doing a lot of video game voiceovers.
Yeah,
She's been in Mass
Worked
Effect,
it.
Dragon Age,
Yeah,
Uncharted.
she's in everything.
Like she's had a fuck ton of work.
yeah. Every time you hear her voice, it's like, oh yeah, her. I
She's even
remember
been
her.
in Rick and Morty and shit. So it's like, yeah, she's good that she's keeping acting. 'Cause
I
I
think-
like it.
Yeah, her on-screen roles have been relegated to now she plays, she's like the Arab mother of some troubled teen. It's like her and I can't remember the lady that played Deanna Troy. Like that's their roles now, is they play aging Arab women, and I don't even know if they're Arab. But they kind of have vaguely Persian features to them.
I mean, she didn't seem like outright like British or anything. She kind of seemed like she, had some Middle Eastern heritage and stuff. But it's like at the same time, like I wouldn't peg her necessarily as an Indian woman, but it doesn't mean.
No, I mean, like in the video game, it's
Oh.
I mean, she doesn't have. They're not modeling her directly. So it's like, oh yeah, she can be Indian. That's no problem. Her character, the only like she has like her eyes and her hair. That's the only the thing that's matching between her in real life and her character. So it's not like modeling anything. I don't think Claudia Black is Indian. She's from Australia, so
Huh.
We know who we're talking about, right? Maybe.
But vaguely.
You weren't you never watched Farscape, did you?
Not really.
Oh, okay. So
Or
that's-
Stargate.
Yeah, she was on Stargate too, like
Yeah,
later
later
seasons. They basically like the main cast of the Stargate show was replaced by the cast of Farscape.
Well, everyone's got to do some work.
Which I kind of want to go back and watch like the later seasons of Stargate just to like, oh yeah, I can see those characters kind of, but I mean just the actors more or less.
Yeah.
Because like it was nice to see Ben Browder in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, he's still alive.
He's still doing things.
And then I was like, where's Anthony Simcoe? And where's it's like, where's all these other actors? Like, oh yeah, they're. Yeah, I think Anthony Simcoe's actually dead.
Yeah.
And then what was other? I can't remember who played. Oh no, it's
So Zan or Chie.
yeah, I think Zan's actually dead too.
Jesus, what happened to her? Cancer?
Cancer,
Oh,
I think.
cancer. Yeah.
And then yeah, I think Chiana's still alive, but like yeah, most of the people are either like I think Rigel's just dead because he was old enough or whatever. So it's like pretty much half the cast is dead, and then like the rest is like scattered and barely works or doesn't really work. Like Claudia Black, basically like the richest cast member still left because he works the most often, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ben Browder's shows up and stuff, but he's like, I mean, like, kind of the big thing, well, not really the big thing, is he had a guest role in an episode of Arrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was like, they were doing, who's the guy who's like the bodyguard?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Can't remember his
I
name.
can't think of his name.
Anyways, they go into his past, and then Ben Browder ends up, like, you know, like the army, and they're, you know, something goes wrong, and then it turns out, like, Ben Browder's, like, you know, a bad guy, and he's, like, you know, doing stuff on the side and selling shit or whatever, and, you know, fight each other at some point, but he's like, oh yeah, he's back. And he's still kind of, like, you know, he's older, but he, like, still looks the same, so that's, you know. And even more so in Guardians of the Galaxy, where you just throw gold paint on his shit. It's like, oh, it's still Ben Browder. But it's just kind of weird to see him in like these side roles. It's like, no, he's a leading man. Put him in something bigger. But like nobody knows who the fuck this guy is.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's kind of like almost seeing Nathan Fillion in something and be like, yeah, he needs to be in the lead role, but he's like never in a lead role anymore for the most part. Like,
Yeah.
He's basically relegated to sideline stuff, and it's like, this is sad.
So, the Burbs.
Directed by Joe Dante. So talk about careers that have an arc. He hadn't done anything in a long time. After this, I didn't know one of his first movies was The Howling and Piranha.
Oh yeah, he used to. He got a start cutting trailers for. What's the guy? He made all the cheap movies. Roger Corman.
Oh, Roger. Oh, okay.
Okay, I take that back. Anthony Simcoe's still alive.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure his hand's not
Is somebody hammering there?
No.
Oh, that must be a weird artifact I'm getting then. I swear to God, someone was in the next room, like building a cabinet. Well, anyway, I think I'm ready for bed.
All right. It's been a podcast.
This week, for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
It's Kama.
there. Andrew?
Goodbye, America.